Greetings once again, pirates on the high seas. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with another chapter of One Piece, where previously the message of Vegapunk, pre-recorded, revealed to the world at large that it's sinking, or at the very least it's about to. We even have a claim by Doflamingo, who's shooting the ship between him and Magellan, between prison bars, that in another 5 meters, most of the greater towns around the world will all be submerged. So, a couple more firings of the Mother Flame will do it. He even is able to convince a lot of people by having correctly predicted an earthquake that happened that same day that we saw a lot of people feel around the world. It's actually kind of wild to remember that a lot of things have been happening just in the past 24 hours. Shoot, you might as well rename Egghead the longest day in One Piece history. Not like we haven't had a lot of those before, but still. The elders just kind of go for broke and go for any life forms they can find in order to disrupt the broadcast. And while J. Garcia Saturn is initially kind of attacking Robin, he mostly just runs past them and the other Straw Hat, getting into the room where the Mother Flame is produced and destroying any Den Mushi he can find. And while back at Marijois, world nobles call for Vegapunk's not just his head but to desecrate his body, Carlos's sister Shalaria shows that some nobles, especially young ones, are very ignorant of what exactly the Void Century is. It's not as though I'm surprised to hear that, but I do find myself wondering if there's significance in her questioning that. Meanwhile, the Iron Giant is still on the move, with the Marines attacking, but their weapons aren't doing jack diddly. It'll be interesting to see what the Iron Giant actually does besides move, although considering it took so long to actually just get him to move, it's hard to say. Meanwhile, Edison, who leapt from the Labophage, breaking his way through the Frontier Dome and greatly injuring himself, has taken control of the device that controls the island clouds on which the Labophage sit, making it so that the clouds would extend outward. That way the Thousand Sunny would be able to drop into the sea, though it's unclear if Edison's gonna be okay after the fact. All the while, Vegapunk's message reveals information about who Joy Boy is and the role he played in the Void Century, saying it's all based around Ohara's research, and it's revealed that Joy Boy and Nika were two separate beings. Joy Boy was called the first ever pirate, and was an inhabitant of the Great Kingdom to which the Celestial Dragons rose up against to create the world government. He also had stretching powers of his own, and it's also revealed to the world at large that Nika is the name of the sun god of Elbaf. What other secrets does Vegapunk hold and want to reveal to us? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, One Piece chapter 11-15. Pieces of a continent? Oh, so were all the islands one big continent? Huh. Oh, they're making Yamato a lunch. At first, for a second, for some reason, I thought that was Okiku. But for one thing, I had to remember that Kiku is down one arm, and Kiku is also very large. But it's Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest, Surrogate Pilgrimage number 5. Iori and Otoko are packing me a bento lunch. Oh, that's so sweet. And it looks pretty good, too. Is Tama gonna give Yamato a casa hat? Oh, and we're already seeing Wano? They have a Den Mushi? Oh, they might have procured it. Oh, it's Orochi's. It took me a second to kind of realize. I'm like, why do they have a Den Mushi? But it's like, yeah, leftovers from Orochi. We pick up in the flower capital of Wano, where we already see the Straw Hat flag hanging right on the tree under the castle. Flower capital Wano. Vegapunk's message continues saying, but as for why he was called a pirate, meanwhile, Momonosuke and the others are listening to the Mushi, with someone questioning, I can't believe this gets signals from abroad. Orochi had it in his castle. We see Momonosuke as well as Otama enjoying some dango. They're flanked by several samurai, including Kinemon as well as Shinobu. Momonosuke says, so Joy Boy was a pirate. He sounds just like Luffy. And Kinemon questions, you've heard of him, my lord? Ah, it must have been in Oden's journals. We then cut to, I can't believe this, the Brig Naval Base G4, where we see Demero Black, former fake Luffy, now the fake Kid Pirates of all things. I actually want to look up the rest of his crew's names. Yeah, we see Drip, who was the fake Sanji, Turco, who was the fake Frankie, and Manjaro, who was the fake Zoro, I think? And we don't see the fake Nami, Soga King, or Robin. Drip says, Joy Boy, I don't believe he's stronger than our captain, right, Captain Kid? The Mallow Black says, leave the guy alone, he's already dead. While Manjaro says, that's the captain we love and admire, Kid's the most generous guy around. The Mallow Black says, there's no way that I'm weaker than Joy Ball. God. And his crew tell him, boy, of all people we would see. I was kind of hoping they were dead. Meanwhile, the Marines continue to listen to Vegapunk's message as he says, I have only read from a handful of poneglyphs, but what I have found there was a record of a breathtakingly vast war. Joy Boy's enemy was the world government of the present day. Wait, what? World government of the present day? The phrasing of that's weird. Like he's still fighting them? Is he talking about the fact that Luffy is still fighting the government? Or is there more to it than that? Even Marines are like, wait, is that us? Another one says, if he was a pirate, that checks out. Meanwhile, Warkery is still chasing down Luffy, Dory, and Brogy as he calls out for Vegapunk. As Vegapunk continues to say, more accurately, it was the precursor to the world government, a provisional army put together by 20 kingdoms known as the Alliance. Meanwhile, in the laboratory, we see Marcus Mars just walking through the lab, using his Conqueror's Haki to knock out every Dendenmushi he comes across. Vegapunk continues on saying, you might say they had no other choice. So robust was Joy Boy's faction. Without knowing the spark that caused the war, I won't say who was right or wrong. I'll simply say that two competing ideologies came head to head. As I mentioned earlier, for its time 900 years ago, the country of Joy Boy's birth was a startlingly advanced civilization, and the weapons that were used over the course of this 100-year conflict appear to be impossible to recreate with the latest of modern science. We then pick up in the New World in Zou, where Duke of the Mokumo Dukedom Kingdom, Carrot, or I guess Duchess now, is listening in with her musketeers saying, that's amazing. And then we pick up with of all things, the Foxy Pirates, who look like they were recently beat up. Did they lose another Davy back fight? God, how long has it been since the Foxy Pirates were last drawn? And why aren't they on their ship? And Foxy is just laughing, going, hoi, 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 fe. What nonsense is this? He's talking peanuts. While Portia's saying, eek, boss, I'm starving. While Hamburg says, phew, what's he bragging about? Man, Foxy Pirates fell on some hard times. God, we're just getting everybody. Vegapunk's mission continues on saying, even I, a humble genius, cannot replicate them. And therein lies the problem. We then cut back up to the labophage, which is weird because we just saw Marcus in the labophage. Oh, okay. We pick up with Stussy and they still imprison Kaku. Voice calls out over the communication saying, Stussy, she questions who it is, and the voice says, it's me. Stussy says, Edison. Kaku naturally listens in, because that's about all he can do. Edison says, lower the barrier and run for safety. Stussy shocked, saying, what? I can't. If anything happens to the Straw Hats before they can leave. Edison, who is very badly damaged, says, honestly, there ain't much point to the barrier anymore. If it can't stop these guys from getting past it, he says, referring to the elders as we see Saturn also using his Conqueror's Haki to knock out Dendenmushi. Edison tells her, I've done all I can to help the Straw Hats make their escape. They can take it from here. Meanwhile, we see Jinbei still carrying Zoro as I'm not sure who's communicating with him. Maybe Nami? Feels like it's Nami. Who says, are you on your way, Jinbei? Jinbei says, sorry, almost there. While Zoro says, don't apologize, Jinbei. We were... And the voice says, was that you I heard saying something, Zoro? I'm gonna smack you after this. I feel like the only... Oh, yep, that's Nami. That's definitely Nami. As we pick up with Nami saying, hurry. More ships are gathering around the northeast coast. It's funny, I was picking up who it was just from the inflection. It's just like, the only person who would dare say that they were going to smack Zoro and not have him immediately retaliate would be Nami. And Nami says, we don't want to land on the water only to get bombarded to bits. Meanwhile, in the lab, Stussy tells Edison, "That's a relief. Stella would be so upset with me if I didn't help them get away." Edison says, "Nah, he wouldn't. Now get out of there." Stussy says, "But I don't know what to do." Edison questions this, and Stussy has a melancholic look on her face saying, "Without Stella around anymore, who do I live for?" Much to Edison's shock, and Kaku also has a melancholic look on his face. Actually kind of interested in what Kaku's thinking right there. I really am wondering what's going to happen to Stussy after all of this is said and done. Oh god, yeah, that's right. We pick up with the fight with Ethan Bear and Venus Juro as he's fighting off Oimo and Kashin and Sanji and giant Bonnie now. Ethan Baron knocks Oimo and Sanji to the ground. Kashin still has him by the tail and is going in with his axe, while Bonnie is kicking him with her massive foot. Suddenly, someone calls out mentally to Ethan Baron, saying, "Bioresponse detected." Ethan Baron then uses his horse legs, because he's in centaur mode, to kick Kashin in the face, knocking him back. He then calls out Bonnie and unsheaths his sword ready to attack. He swings, but Frankie jumps in, managing to get her out of harm's way, telling her, "Look out, Bonnie," as Bonnie cries out in shock. She then shrinks to her kid form in order to make sure she doesn't get hit, while Ethan Baron's slice cuts off the mast of the giant warrior pirate ship. As Frankie cradles the now small Bonnie, she says can't hold that form for long, and she's wheezing. Meanwhile, Vegapunk's message continues on as he says the Void Century came to a close with the defeat of Joy Boy, and we see the Iron Giant and Zunisha, two people who regret what happened to Joy Boy. Ethan Baron then takes off saying, "How long must you jabber on, Vegapunk?" And Oimo questions, "Where's he going?" So did they find where the Denden Mushi was signaling from? Oh my god! Holy shit! I'll be honest, I shouldn't be surprised that he was able to do this, but Jesus! And a mental communication comes to Ethan Baron as he runs up to the clouds, so he could just run on air? The hell? Or did he just leap into the sky? The mental communication says obnoxious bioresponse. Ethan Baron then takes his sword and just slices the labophage in half. Holy crap. While Vegapunk's message continues on saying, "But not before leaving a vast permanent scars of war across the face of the world." Scars of war? What scars? Oh, and the cut sliced right through into where the Cypherpole agents as well as the Seraphim were being held. And because of that, they're all sent plummeting to the ground. Oh, that's pretty high up too. Some of those Cypherpole agents are gonna die if they're just sent screaming to the ground. Vegapunk's message continues on saying, "The world is made up of a series of islands. Sailing between them is difficult, and many people never experiencing anything but their own culture at home." The people in the one town says, "Yeah, duh. Everyone knows the sea is dangerous. Oh, we even see Shimotsusuke Village, where Kyoshiro, what was it, the dad's name again? Yeah, Kyoshiro. Yeah, Kuina's dad is listening to the message as it continues on with Vegapunk saying, "But this shared understanding of the world does not necessarily apply to the world of 1,000 years ago." So everything was connected? There was theories I've heard going around that there used to be one continent, or at least a multitude of continents. So it was like that theory. It was like Wano back in the day, where the sea level was lower and there were more continents. I always kind of wondered because it's weird that there are so many just nothing but islands around the world. Vegapunk's message says, "Because a cataclysm occurred during the Void Century, causing the world to sink once before, we are currently living on the pieces of a continent that existed long ago." And we see the ruins of, I don't even know what we're looking at. Yeah, a lot of people were calling that out. Even I was just like, that's probably what it is. It probably sunk before, and people are just living on what are essentially the tops of mountains to a certain degree. I mean, that's that's shocking, but it's not at the same time because it's a conclusion that a lot of people kind of came to. Though the revolutionaries listen to this and everyone is shocked, especially Eva. But Salvo is just listening intently as Vegapunk's message continues on saying, "The world of a millennium ago now slumbers unseen at the bottom of the sea. In fact, one can assume that in the past, there were a number of continents we know nothing about. So a whole nother world. Oh, Kokoyashi Village. Dr. Naka says this is all so wild." And Genzo says, "Where are you going, Nojiko? The world's in danger." And Nojiko just kind of smiles it off, saying, "You can tell me about it later. I'm going to check on the tangerine groves." And Genzo calls out for Nojiko. Oh god. All the reaction. Vegapunk's message continues on with him saying, if the world was still the same as it was in the past, then the act of erasing 100 years of history would be simply unthinkable and impossible. However, it makes much more sense when you understand that the rise in sea level over a century was 200 meters. That's like the equivalent of a skyscraper. Freaking A. The Marines call in shock. What? 200 meters? These gigantic battleships are only 60 meters long. No wonder the whole world vanished. Hey, don't get distracted by the story. Severpol and the Seraphim came falling down to the ground level. We gotta rescue them. Oh, wait. Is the ground still springy because of Luffy's abilities? Oh, we then pick back up in Mocktown, where the people are still laughing, saying, "Did you hear that? The man's still lying. The old coot's cracking me up. No way any of that's true." We then cut to the Cherry Blossom Kingdom, Chopper's homeland, while Dalton listens with Correa and the townspeople, saying, "How does such a thing happen?" And Correa just laughs. Hee hee hee. There's still so much to learn about the world. Oh, we see the former former Baroqueworks agent. Miss Goldenweek is out with the former Miss Merry Christmas and Miss Doublefinger, and they're listening in as the people clamor, saying, "That mountain over there is just about 200 meters tall. Imagine the sea rising that high. It sounds like hell. How many people must have died?" Right? That's the equivalent of a purge. Oh, we then pick back up at Galila, where everyone's listening in, as Vegapunk's message says, "As for why the sea level rose so much during that century, it would be natural to assume that work was of a sudden natural disaster, but I can state for a fact that this was a man-made disaster." And on Big News Morgan's blimp, he shouts, "That's just crazy!" And Vivi shuts him by closing his beak as she listens intently, and Wapple panics, of course. Vegapunk's message continues on, saying, "If such a cataclysm were caused by natural forces, then the initial disaster would have spanned several centuries and inflicted slow but continual damage upon the world. But by any measurement, climatology, geology, environmental, and atmospheric science, this dramatic shift could not have happened within a single century. So the cause is something else. And when I detected the rise in worldwide sea levels the other day, I had my answer. I knew the cause and confirmed its existence. The ancient weapons that sank the world into the sea 800 years ago still exist today and await the moment they can stir again. In other words, the vast war that arose during the Void Century never came to an end." We cut to Pangea Castle, where Im is listening intently, while the Gorosei grow angrier. It's one of those things where I'm not surprised, because I and so many other people have had that theory that, hey, maybe the world sunk a long time ago. Because the moment the idea of the weapon being unleashed and then suddenly everything just starts sinking is like, did this happen before? And to what degree? And now there's that confirmation. There used to be continents. It's essentially Wind Waker. Or Waterworld, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's so many just random islands just dotted around the world. I mean, it's not unheard of, but it is. It's always been very strange. And the fact that so many islands are so small and then isolated, having it that the world mostly just sank beneath the waves makes a lot more sense. But to know that the 20 Kingdoms formed an alliance specifically for Joy Boy. We kind of knew that, but we thought it was to counter the Ancient Kingdom. But it was before Joy Boy himself. The fact that it took 20 kingdoms coming together to take down Joy Boy. I mean, it's not like we go to the bottom of the sea that often, but I am curious what the world looked like so long ago. But the fact that the ancient weapons were all responsible, that raises a lot of questions. I mean, I guess I can believe Pluton, because what we've seen Pluton able to do, I guess, no, Pluton's sealed away. So Uranus, I guess? It's hard to say. I can't see Poseidon being the result of this because of how we know Poseidon function. But because of what we've seen that I'm guessing Uranus can do. But Vegapunk blamed all the ancient weapons. A slip of the tongue because of lack of information? Or is it more to it than that? And the fact that the Great War never ended, then in what capacity is it still being waged? How? Why? Is it just simply because Joy Boy's will lives on through the model Nika? Or is it more than that? The fact that Domino Black is still running out there and of all things dressed as a kid pirate. I wonder what happened to the Foxy pirates. Then again, anything could have happened to them in the 2 years since we last saw them. I also do wonder what Stussy will do after all of this. But the elders are on the warpath. The Seraphim kinda have been released, but they're still in the bubble. I wonder if they'll pop from the impact of them falling. That could add another issue though, because with the elders on the island, they could command the Seraphim. That's a whole nother bunch of problems, honestly. Man, that slice from Venus Girl was thick. I mean, I should have expected as much. We've seen Zoro kind of pull off feats like that before to a certain degree when he cut Pika, but still, god damn, so much is going on. All we can do is run. But there's no way everything is being revealed here. I mean, even Vegapunk has said it himself. There's still a lot he doesn't know. Man, just to have all this information out there now. Because normally this is a lot of stuff that the common person would never learn, but so much information is getting out there. I wonder what AIM will do now that it is. Because Vegapunk is leaving it just vague enough that nobody should be in too big a trouble. But it's hard to say. God, there's so much meat to chew on essentially. It's just like, oh my god. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I mean, so much is already out of the bag. What more is left for Vegapunk to even say? The war? Because he's not making guesses at a lot of things. But what more could he say about the war that just wouldn't give away everything? And how is the war being waged? Like, how are they still attacking each other? It's just so much to this. Okay, as my head continues to spin, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What was the most shocking part of all this to you? Because, man, this is a lot. The theorists are going to have a field day with this. But again, I want to hear from you. So like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.